Hey guys, what's up? It's Stephanie, and today I'm here with a video. In this video today, I really just wanted to talk about another another topic that God was talking to me about, and it's the fact that He wants you guys to know that when it comes to working for His kingdom, when it comes to being chosen by Him, or whatever the case may be, being called by Him, and wanting to do His will for your life, you don't have to settle. And some people feel like when God calls them to do his work, they don't they don't have to go after big things, but the thing about it is this. God doesn't want you to settle in your life. If you're the type of person and you are gifted with an ambitious spirit, or somebody who's very intellectual, or whatever the case may be, the gifts and the talents that God has given you, use them. Everyone is not called to be a preacher. Everyone is not called to be a teacher. But whatever gifts that you have, God wants to be able to use you where you are. And you could be a doctor to a car mechanic, and God can still use you in those two very different jobs. Because at the end of the day, God's people need to be in different places, in different areas, doing different things so that we can reach as many people for his kingdom. And it's kind of sad because right now, what you see is a lot of people, they feel like they want to do things for God. They want to put in work for God, and that's great and that is amazing because that's what God wants. He wants a willing heart. But at the same time, people are only people are only believing that they can serve God and do work for God's kingdom if they're a preacher, or if they're working in the church, or whatever the case may be. But everyone's not called to do that. Everyone's not called to be working in the church. God needs people. God needs his chosen people. He needs his disciples, his children, to be out in the world with everyday people. He needs people. He needs some of his chosen people in the office. He needs some of his chosen people in the hospital. He needs some of his chosen people in the courthouses. He needs some of his chosen people in the grocery stores, in the auto repair shops. He needs his people everywhere, not just in churches, because the reality is that a lot of lost people aren't just going to go to church. There are lost people that can be reached by God in so many different places and in so many different areas, and that's what we need to understand. Everyone's not called to build a church. Everyone's not called to be in a church, because the people that need to be reached are not just in the church. So don't get the misconception that, oh my gosh, I want to do something for God's kingdom, so that means that I have to go into a ministry at a church. That's not the case. I mean, by all means necessary, I'm not telling you what to do with your life, and I'm not telling you where your calling is. Hey, God could be calling you to go to and minister and be a preacher, a pastor, or whatever the case may be. But I'm just saying that his chosen people, he doesn't want his chosen people to have a narrow mind and just think that you're called to help and called to reach and called to advance his kingdom down here in church, because he needs people in different areas where a lot of wicked people are at that. Jesus, when he was down here, he was hanging out with sinners, straight sinners. He was at tax collectors' houses. He was hanging and he was reaching prostitutes. He was hanging and he was reaching thieves. He was hanging around and healing people with leprosy that were unclean, that people were told to stay like miles away from. You get what I'm saying? He was hanging out in the areas that holy people probably didn't think he should have been, or the people that claim to be righteous would not have wanted to go. But these are the places that God needs us the most. He needs his chosen people in the ghetto. He needs his chosen people in the schools. He needs his chosen people to be doing in the hospitals, because there's so many people that are evil, that are in these places already trying to advance the plan of the enemy. And anyone that's called by God should know that we're called to combat Satan and any his plans, his followers, whatever the case may be. We're here on this earth to push and advance God's kingdom. We're here on this earth to reach souls for God. We're here on this earth to be a light in a darkness. So if you're called by God, stop trying to run to the light and be a light there. You need to be going into areas that are dark. You need to be going into areas that really need God's touch and his voice and his healing and his presence, period. So I just wanted you guys to keep that in mind. A lot of people are very narrow minded right now and they think that they're only called to be working in a church, but really God can use you anywhere doing anything. And he wants you to utilize your gifts and your talents for his glory and his kingdom because that's why he gave them to us. All right, so just wanted to do this quick short video to encourage you guys and to break down those barriers of closed minds that a lot of people probably do have when they think of ministering for God. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. It's Stephanie. Be blessed.